Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet. Shinvata Sukata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hridayanta Histoya Bhadrani Budanoti Shuhissatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Vityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12, and verses text 39 to 41. Text 39. Gambhir Vego Animisham Jyotisham Chakramahitam Yasmin Brahmati Kauravya Medhyam Ib Gamam Ganah. Synonyms: Gambhira Vega, with great force and speed. Animisam, unceasingly. Jyotisam, of luminaries. Chakram, spear. Ahitam, connected. Yasmin, around which Brahmati encircles. Kauravya, O Vidura. Medhyam, a central pole. Iva, as. Gavam, of bulls. Gana, a herd. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Saint Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, descendant of Kuru, as a herd of bulls circumambulates a central pole on their right side, all the luminaries within the universal sky unceasingly circumambulate the abode of Dhruv Maharaj with great force and speed. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Each and every planet within the universe travels at a very high speed. From a statement in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that even the sun travels 16,000 miles in a second. And from Brahma Samhita, we understand from the shloka, Yat Chakshur Esa Savita Sakal Grahanam, that the sun is considered to be the eye of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, and it also has a specific orbit within which it circles. Similarly, all other planets have their specific orbits, but together all of them encircle the pole star or Dhruv Loka, where Dhruv Maharaj is situated at the summit of the three worlds. We can only imagine how highly exalted the actual position of a devotee is. And certainly we cannot even conceive how exalted is the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 40. Mahimanam Vilokyasya Narado Bhagavan Rishi Atodhyam Vitudan Shlokan Satre Gayat Prachechatam Synonyms: Mahimanam, glories. Vilokya, observing. Asya, of Dhruv Maharaj. Narada, the great sage Narad. Bhagwan, equally as exalted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rishi, the saint. Artodhyam, the stringed instrument. Veena. Vitudan, playing on. Shlokan, verses. Satre, in the sacrificial arena. Agayat, chanted. Prachetasam, of the Prachetas. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After observing the glories of Dhruv Maharaj, the great sage Narad, playing his veena, went to the sacrificial arena of the Prachetas and very happily chanted the following verses. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Narad was the spiritual master of Dhruv Maharaj. Certainly he was very glad to see Dhruv's glories As a father is very happy to see the son's advancement in every respect, so the spiritual master is very happy to observe the ascending of his disciple. Text 41. Narad Uvacha Nunam Sunite Patidevataya Stapa Prabhavasya Sutasya Tam Gatim Drashtvabhyupayanapi Vedvadino Nevadigantum Prabhavanti Kim Nrapa. Synonyms. Narada Uvacha. Narad said, Nunam, certainly, Sunita of Suniti, Pati Devataya, very much attached to her husband, Tapa Prabhavasya, by the influence of austerity, Sutasya, of the sun, Tam, that, Gatim, position, Drashtva, observing, Abhyupayan, the means, Api, although, Veda Vedana, strict followers of the Vedic principles or the so-called Vedantists, Na is never, ever, certainly, Adhigantam, to attain, Prabhavanti, are eligible, Kim, what to speak of, Nrapa, ordinary kings. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Narad said, simply by the influence of his spiritual advancement and powerful austerity, Dhruv Maharaj, the son of Suniti, who was devoted to her husband, acquired an exalted position not possible to attain even for the so-called Vedantists or strict followers of the Vedic principles, not to speak of ordinary human beings. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In this verse, the word Vedana, is very significant. Generally, a person who strictly follows the Vedic principles is called Vedvadi. There are also so-called Vedantists who advertise themselves as followers of Vedanta philosophy, but who misinterpret Vedanta. The expression Veda Ratah is also found in the Bhagavad Gita, referring to persons who are attached to the Vedas without understanding the purport of the Vedas. Such persons may go on talking about the Vedas or may execute austerities in their own way, but it is not possible for them to attain to such an exalted position as Dhruv Maharaj. As far as ordinary kings are concerned, it is not at all possible. The specific mention of kings is significant because formerly kings were also Raj Rishis, for the kings were as good as great sages. Dhruv Maharaj was a king, and at the same time, he was as learned as a great sage. But without devotional service, neither a great king, a Kshatriya, nor a great Brahmana, strictly adhering to the Vedic principles, can be elevated to the exalted position attained by Dhruv Maharaj. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare. I seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to purify myself by reading this Bhagavad text. And please forgive me for any shortcomings in my summary. So these verses, really signify the magnanimous glories of both devotional service and a pure devotee like Dhruv Maharaj. We saw in preceding texts that Vishnu Dutas, Nanda and Sunanda came in a special aeroplane to take Dhruv Maharaj to Vaikuntha planet. Also, previous texts describe how peaceful, humble, and friendly was the demeanor of Dhruv Maharaj, since he was a pure devotee of the Lord. Let's talk about devotional service. Devotional service basically means, trying to please the Supreme Godhead, Sri Krishna. It is meant to give Krishna happiness, not to give happiness to ourselves. Devotional service is the soul's eternal constitutional propensity and the living entity's natural characteristic. Lord Chaitanya has also said that Jiva Sarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. It is said in scriptures that of the saintly persons who are constantly engaged in striving for salvation, one who is in Krishna consciousness is the best of all. The Bhagavatam, text 39 in Canto 4, chapter 22, confirms this fact. The translation of this text 39 is, in quotes, just try to worship in devotional service Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even great sages are not able to control the forces of the senses as effectively as those who are engaged in transcendental bliss by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, uprooting the deep-grown desire for fruitive activities. In the conditioned soul, the desire to enjoy the fruitive results of work is so deep-rooted that it is very difficult, even for the great sages, to control such desires, despite great endeavors. On the other hand, a devotee of the Lord, constantly engaged in devotional service, in Krishna consciousness, perfect in self-realization, very quickly attains liberation in the Supreme. This is what happened with Dhruv Maharaj. Due to his austerity and unalloyed devotional service, he was greeted by Lord Vishnu, messengers, Nanda and Sunanda, who came in a special airplane to take Dhruv Maharaj to Vaikuntha. Also, the Supreme Lord Krishna himself helps the devotee to make the progress on the path of attaining the Supreme. As Krishna has said regarding devotional service in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 10, from verse 8 to 11, I'll quickly read the verse. Verse 8 is, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhav samanvita. Translation is, I am the source of all spiritual and material words. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Text 9 is, Matchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katyantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. And the translation is, the thoughts of my pure devotee dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. And the text 10 is, Tesham satat yuktanam bhajitam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogantam yena mam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted in serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So these are pretty important verses spoken by Lord Krishna himself about devotional service. And we know the 9 processes of devotional service: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the Lord's lotus feet, Pad Sevanam, deity worship, Archanam, praying, Shri Vandanam, executing orders, which is the Dasyam, like Hanumanji did to Lord Ram, serving as a friend. Example is Arjun, who was so close to Krishna that Lord offered himself to become his chariot driver. Complete surrender, Atma Nivedanam. The example is Bali Maharaj, who gave Sri Vamandev his entire kingdom, his possessions, as well as his own body. Even Prahlad Maharaj has described devotional service in Bhagavatam, 7th canto. And in quotes, Prahlad Maharaj's statement is this, and I'll read it in quotes: to hear about Sri Vishnu's transcendental name, his form, his characteristics, and his pastimes, and to hear and chant about his pastimes, to remember them, to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, to respectfully offer service to the Lord, to offer prayers to the Lord, to become his servant, to consider the Lord one's best friend, and to offer him everything. So this is the statement by Prahlad Maharaj regarding devotional service. I'll close here. Thank you very much, devotees. Hari Bol.